really honored to be here. I want to begin with an altar song that's a reminder of what we hold high. Altar, those are the things we hold high that we value. And this song is a song to honor. For me, it's a song for the earth and for all our relations. And so I offer this to you. Yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 eh, yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 do. Yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 eh, yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 do. Yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 ay. Yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 ay. Eh, yo, eh, hi, ay, 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 do.
Eagle is a legendary indigenous earthkeeper, wisdom teacher, healer, visionary, singer-songwriter, catalyst for wholeness, and ceremonialist. She is the best-selling author of the Native American literary classic Buffalo Woman Comes Singing and of The Last Ghost Dance. Over the last 35 years, her many music recordings, teachings, writings, conference appearances, and wilderness spiritual retreats have touched the hearts and minds of people all over the world. Brooke is also a sacred ecologist with a focused interest in living a harmonious, sustaining lifestyle, as well as a dedication to the preservation of our sacred waters. Having been born in a homesteading family, she loves simple, clean country living, Aboriginal skills, as well as crafting and artistry. Having passed on the stewardship of her beautiful flower song garden sanctuary, she is now expanding her love and connection to all our relations by traveling, exploring, and teaching internationally. So welcome, Brooke. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
That sounds like a busy person.
Just a little.
Oh, golly. Actually, I always love to begin with a prayer, so let me do that, please. So, Creator, Great Mother, Father, on this good day, thank you for this opportunity to reach across time and space, to touch each other's hearts, and to offer wisdom and information. And as always, I ask that I be a hollow bone, a channel to bring through your love and light and wisdom, which is what's really needed. And so on this good day, we give thanks as we begin, and we ask that we might receive those things that support our lives. And so through us then, we might reach out to many others and support their aliveness and life in this amazing world we're in. Oh, Mitochrias, all my relations. So we're speaking of coming out of darkness, and I want to reframe that in as many ways as I can. As many ways that are really useful to us in this time that is a time of incredible challenge, incredible crisis. One of the things that I am hearing from older and wiser people than me is that we have this generation to change things around so that we're living in harmony and sustainability, or else we will be extinct as a human family. So we're talking right down to the nitty-gritty and the serious here. And so I believe that there are some really important things that we can think about and ways we can think about things as we begin. So I'd like to start and just move very gently here into a meditation. So I'd love to have you just close your eyes, just kind of wiggle in and settle in and close your eyes. And what I want you to do is to take you back to the beginning of things, the beginning of everything, the beginning before there was a thing, when there was no thing manifest in the physical world. All the great creation myths, they say the same thing, that there was nothing. And yet, a deep, dark, rich void existed. And that deep, dark, rich void was the womb of the feminine, the womb of the Great Mother. In her womb, that womb of love, in that loving womb were the potentials, the energetic seeds or eggs for everything that would ever, ever, ever become physically manifest in our world. A rich, whole, and holy place. And yet no thing existed. And out of nothing, the Great Mother called into her womb of love the Father Light. And when love and light joined together, passion arose. A passion to create beauty, to abundantly pour life into the world as we know it now. And so universes were begun, flung out across the space, universes and star systems, everything that was and is now manifest in the world. And at that same time, before you had a name, the Great Mother called you, created you as an eternal soul, and sent you forth into her whole and holy universe to have experience after experience, lifetime after lifetime, down through all of time. And she and the Father gifted you their love and light. You are made of love. You are awakened in light. You have the capacity, as does the Great Mother, through your womb, your miniature, teeny replica of the Great Mother's womb. You have the ability to manifest out of nothing, to bring forth into reality from a dream, a thought, a child born, made into physical reality and brought forth. And that child is only a very clear demonstration of the incredible and infinite possibility we have for creation and bringing life through our wombs. And so there at the beginning, we existed, and there we go again and again in our feminine form to sit in quiet at our moon time, to go deep into meditation, to reach into the darkness, to find rest and renewal and creativity. So just let yourself kind of drift and let that be in the background, that is the beginning of things and still remains the womb of life that holds you, that contains you. You are one with the whole family of life in that womb, and you're connected with everything. So you can just come out of that as I continue to talk here. Just let that rest in the background of your consciousness. And I'd like you to think, I hope that many of you have been in the middle of a moonlit night in the quiet of wilderness. That luminous darkness, so rich and beautiful. In that luminous darkness, we find anything but danger and threatening. We find infinite space and possibility. It's like looking up into the starry night. So much beauty, so much possibility, so much richness. You know, the deepest and clearest of our medicine ways always include the dark. I had a wonderful experience at a crystal congress in LA when I was very young. And we were having a wonderful time, and there was a young Spanish American, Mexican American man there who was one of the helpers. He was helping us move chairs and, you know, just really being wonderful. And he had such great energy and was so helpful. So I got to visiting with him. And he started telling me that his grandmother in Mexico was a medicine woman and curandera and all of that. So anyway, I had a crystal I wanted to give him. So he came up to my room. And always in my room, I set up a little altar. So I had my little altar there with all my things on it. And of course, there's some beautiful crystals and this and that. But one thing I also had was a piece of obsidian, deep night dark black. And I never thought consciously about it. But he walked in and looked down at my altar and said, "Wow, I'm so glad to see that you represent the dark." He said, so many of our sort of new age people I know, it's all light. And he said, if it's only light, it pulls the darkness. And so he said, it's wonderful to have an altar that's balanced and honors both the beautiful sun shining in the day, but that moonlight, dark, sweet, quiet, restful, that deep richness. And so it was a really interesting lesson for me because I hadn't been as conscious of it until that moment when this wonderful guy that helped move our chairs came and gave me a great lesson. So one of the things we've done, which is really sad and unworkable actually, is we have assigned darkness a negative connotation. And since darkness is sort of and about half of our experience, sun, light, dark, moon, it's really not useful to us to assign that a negative. And one of the things we've done, I want to talk about this in a lot of different ways. One of the things we've done is we've created streetlights. I mean, that's the idea to make us safe. And really what that does is blinds us. Right in the middle of that light, somehow we feel safe. But in the darkness, we don't. And what happens when we have all that unnatural light in our eyes is that we can't see in the darkness. We can't see the beautiful moonlight. We can't see the gorgeous, sweet, quiet, lovely energy. That's the energy of darkness. And that kind of light pollution challenges our health, challenges the health and circadian rhythm of everything on the earth. So it's a major issue for all of life that we don't really honor the darkness. I mean, even if we just put movement lights on and had the earth quiet and dark until something needed to be shown, that would be fine. But as a matter of fact, we have all of this light that is really damaging our life because we're frightened of the dark. I had an interesting experience I hadn't even thought of before, but just now I remembered. I was living up in the wilderness in the Bob Marshall Wilderness area of Montana, and there were not very many homes. And I don't like to have yard lights on. I don't see any need of them. We always had a little dog around. He barked if anything came. But a lot of people had this great big yard lights on. And there was this very bizarre instance happened. A young man, I would call him a psychopath, came out from the east. He was sick of city life and sick of all of that. And he had a sack of salt and a knife. And he was going to go into the wilderness and just get away from it all. Well, he got in a short ways from where we were, which was really the wilderness area. He got back in there a ways and went, oops, I can't do this. And he came out looking for food and shelter and things. And my girlfriend was there in a cabin that she had no lights around. It was dark, and he passed very near to that and came on down to the place where we eventually lived. But other people lived there at the time, and they had blaring lights on. This young man came there, found a gun in their pickup that was out in the garage, and the end was not good. He killed both of them. He was drawn to that light, but the darkness saved my friend. And I think we have this odd mix of things about what's safe and what isn't. So I want to talk about another thing. Again and again, I'm going to give you examples of the darkness and the power of the darkness. And owl medicine, in the original native ways, everything was given by Creator and everything had a positive function. But during the time of colonization and much of the harming of the old ways, when so much was lost, a lot of superstition came up, and the owl began to be seen as associated with negativity, with black shamans who did negative and harmful kind of things, associated with death even. But instead, the owl's medicine is very interesting. The owl's medicine is the ability to fly through the dark, to move through the dark, to see your way when it's dark, to function, to hunt, to get what you need, to fly through right out through into the light. And sometimes even seen as the one who reminds us that in death, we dive into the darkness and right on out into the light. So that ability to move and pass through the darkness without problem is the owl's medicine. So once again, that sense of darkness being positive and the owl being a positive helper in that way. Certainly a wonderful helper for us now because we are seeing some challenging things for sure. And, I think it's interesting that death even has a bad rap. It was fascinating to me at one time when one of my teachers said, death is safe. And I went, what? Wow. I mean, I was thinking death is the ultimate boogeyman, I was like, whoa. I said, no, that's a part of life. It's a part of life. It's so much a part of life. It's safe. You're fine. It's fine. It's all fine. You pass through these cycles. You are eternal. And I had an interesting experience in Bali recently. I was around when a new baby was born, and people were crying, just sobbing and crying. And I said, what's happening? What's going on? And they said, well, people are sad when this spirit that's just totally enormous, amazing, beautiful, unlimited, boundless spirit is brought into tiny little space of this little human body with the suffering it might likely face. That's sad. Well, they were crying and crying about that. And when people leave life, when they move into the other life, into death, beyond this life, they celebrate. It's like, yes, so exciting. They're going back to that whole, beautiful, loving, light, enormous, boundless space. So even death, I think we need to take another look at in a certain way. So, one of the results of us thinking about death and darkness as bad is that, we really keep a lot of people who, if they were allowed to in a natural process, they would literally pass on. we keep them as literal zombies. You know, you saw the old movies where people they were alive, but they had no life, real life. And, you see that in these old folks' homes where people are kept alive, I guess, to make money for the institution. And perhaps because we're frightened of death. We think something is wrong with death. And so I really think we need to take a look at that and realize that we have such a fear of death that we do very crazy things. I think it's sometimes when we look back from a more enlightened perspective and see what we've done to older people and people who are dysfunctional or people who can't make their way or people who have no life, they're just not home. Something has happened and they're basically not living a life in the world. We capture them, we keep them dead, not alive, but not dead. And that's a zombie. And so I think again and again we need to look at that. And in the old way, when life was closing down for an elder, and sometimes even when resources were slim going into a winter, the old people knew that sometimes they wouldn't make it, that resources, food was not too available, and that they had a terrible time. We're seeing old people have a hard time in cold. All the things that challenge their lungs and all of that. They realized that they might just drain the resources and energy of people. And so what they did was they would go to a beautiful lodge and they would sit out and meditate. They would stop eating and drinking and just pass joyfully into the next plane. And they left with honor and peacefulness, and they also left in full command of their sovereign divine self. So again, that thought that death is safe, death is a part of life. I think that as we move into the time of the feminine, we're going to see that the feminine has always honored both life and death. We have midwives for birthing into life as well as birthing into death. And so is this making sense to you? Are we getting anywhere here with this thought? And of course, darkness is feminine. The deep womb nest rather than the penis standing up in the sun. It's like that deep, dark nest, nourishing, rich, wonderful place of birthing. All of that is the feminine. And there's never been any fright or upset or being bothered by the darkness and the night. Grandmother Moon is our special guide and helper. She moves our moon time, our menstrual time, and she's always been that feminine guide for us as women. And I want to talk also about, I don't know how this happened, because in the ancient days, the feminine, the dark, was embraced as much as the masculine, the light, the sun, and all of that. And I don't know exactly what happened here in the last few thousand years of patriarchal time when just that sun, just that, that kind of energy out in the light, the sun up there, transcendent above us rather than immanent in our bodies, alive in ourselves, as the feminine talks about. I don't know exactly how being frightened of the feminine or frightened of the dark or frightened of the depth and the richness of the womb, the dishonoring of it, the negation of it, the putting down of women in their menstrual time, all of those things. Because for many millennium down through time, it was understood that dark time is as important as the light, in the darkness, when we put our eyes in the darkness, not only do we trigger ourselves to bleed, have our moon time at the dark of the moon, which is when it naturally happens, dark of the moon, when our eyes are in that moonlight, that happens very clearly. But we also heal our nervous system. Our nervous system is healed by light of the stars and the moon in our eyes. So all of that wonderful energy seems to have gotten lost. And I'm going to quickly take us around the medicine wheel to talk about the deep feminine and the dark. So in the east is morning, sunrise, springtime, illumination, light. The light dawns, you go, aha! The light just came on. Now I see. It's birthing. Things coming, whether it's a child birthed out into the light that's been living in the womb, whether it's a little sprout that's been underground, coming, whoop, there it is, coming up, coming into the light. And that is the little masculine. Then we go into the south, which is summertime, midsummer, midday, busy, active, doing, growing. The crops are growing, things are active, you're getting things done, doing it, moving, handling it, really going for it. That's the big masculine. That big, moving, intense, powerful action. And then as we move then into afternoon and evening, into autumn, we move into the quietness. We let go. We release working, take time to rest, to go within, to quiet down, to gather, to look back at our day and see what happened and remember the information we learned or the project we got accomplished. So that's the little feminine. That's the little feminine. We start that quieting and moving into a quieter place. And then we move into the north of the wheel. And the north of the wheel is midnight, midwinter, total silence and darkness. Darkness, quietness. I think of it as White Buffalo Woman sitting quietly beside her frozen lake of incredible crystal wisdom. Nothing is happening because the deep feminine, which is what this is, it's the deep, deep, deep feminine, is the quiet, is the stillness, is not doing. And so that's the place where we go to take the information and all that's been happening through that whole cycle. We take that into meditation, into quiet, into what really happened, what was the meaning of it, what worked, not just for me, but for the whole circle of life. Did it actually do some good? Did it work? What did work? What was good? What was deeply good about this? And then out of that place, out of that feminine place, out of the darkness, where the seeds are totally quiet, nothing is happening. And we can touch into that great source of life that is the Great Mother. It's quiet into that place. Out of there, the inspiration, creativity, wisdom, solutions, ideas, up into the springtime, out into our reality. And I think the sad thing is that somehow in our culture, we've gotten afraid of that. We've been trained by the patriarchy here for the last 3 or 4, 5,000 years. So it's not just the guys, it's the whole materialistic institution of patriarchy that has captured us as well, that we've worked in, we've been raised in, we've been schooled in. So somehow we've lost track of the power and beauty of that darkness and of dropping deep into the darkness rather than avoiding it, calling it bad, calling it negative. So it feels like a time as we move into this arising feminine to really change our mind, to change our perception about that. Does that make sense? So that we realize the richness, that we have a balanced and full wheel of life, from that arising to action to quieting to total stillness and meditation and back again, coming out of wisdom. In the Native American way, we go from wisdom in the north, from the deep contemplative wisdom, meaning, understanding, oneness, wholeness, unity, into the south where it's action. So everything is grounded in that deep darkness. So I hope I've been a good proponent and advocate of the darkness, because I want to move on from there into some other things as well that arise from that. Because again and again and again and again, the baseline, the first thing, the primary, is the deep womb of the feminine that birthed us and holds us even now. And that source that we retreat to, that we go to find the truth, to find rest, nourishment, ideas, richness, creativity, true solutions that are in balance and harmony with the wholeness of the circle of life, which we really need right now. So the thing is, I think we really need to differentiate. My wonderful teacher, Moshe Feldenkrais, used to say that the definition of a fool is a fool doesn't know the difference. And I didn't understand that at first. And he said, well, a fool walks out in front of a moving truck instead of behind it. He doesn't know the difference between those things. And when we know the difference between things, then we can make better choices. And so to really understand the difference between negativity, hate, meanness, destruction, damage, unkindness, hurtfulness, harm, to differentiate those from the darkness, I think is really, really important. Because the luminous darkness is also our subconscious. And our subconscious is our connection to our deepest and most intelligent brain. It's an old brain that was developed over evolution. The whole of evolution lives in that ancient brain. Oneness, our connection with everything, our connection to source, connection to Great Mother, connection to harmony, wisdom from all of evolution that helps us not only survive but thrive. All of that is taking place in every second, guided by that deeper intelligence that is under our consciousness. It's down below. And it's interesting too with the words down, under, lower. It's like we've assigned that negativity as well, which gets us in more trouble. So I'd like to take a look at this in an interesting way and see if we can change our perception a little bit and change. What I'd like to do is change something inside of you that helps you move forward in this time, to differentiate some things here so that you, in your deepest self, have a better chance of functioning well. Because we're in times that are traumatic. We're in a time of crisis. We're in a time of enormous challenge. Even if it weren't for coronavirus, I think that's just pointing up how much on the edge of things we are. You know, a little teeny, I don't even know how big they are. They must be teeny tiny because they live inside cells that live inside things. They're teeny tiny. Those little viruses are ruling right now. And we thought we were so smart. We thought we were the king of the hill. Well, no, we aren't. So there's all of this going on that I think is waking us up to find a way to be in the circle of life, in the unity, in the wholeness, communicating with everything, finding wisdom and richness and meaning and wholeness with things, rather than separating ourselves out from things. I do want to take us someplace else here, because I mean I've given you some information, but I'd like to take some action here in a meditative way that can actually make some difference in how we function, as I said. So I'll go on here. Now, what I need to tell you is that the human brain has a little glitch or two. This forebrain, this little slice of new brain we got that's our specifically human brain, some challenges that come to us from that. Because let me just take a negative experience. All other life, before it has this human slice of brain, you know, this middle part of the brain, all the mammals have even, and that brain is emotion. And, you know, whether it's a whale or a rabbit or a squirrel or whatever, it has that same emotional feeling and capacity. And of course, all the other capacities that we have that are connected, that all other life has. So we alone have this little forebrain, and it's quite amazing. It's quite wonderful in a lot of ways. We can project into the future, which is good in one way and a little challenging in the other if we use it poorly. We can hold on to the past. We can carry our memories, which is also good, except if we hold on to the wrong things, which we're likely to do. And so we have, I mean, it's rational. I think of it as connected to the mind, where the deep brain, that intelligence I was talking about, you know, goes down. That is the heart. That's right down into the heart, is that deeper intelligence, that ancient intelligence, oriented. Well, I'll just take let's just say a horse. There's a horse out, and there are mountain lions in the territory. And boom, a mountain lion runs at the horses. They run as fast as they can. They either outrun them, or the slowest one gets to feed the lion. But one way or the other, our mare makes it. And when she makes it, she shakes and does whatever she needs to do for a while there. And then she relatively quickly goes back to grazing. The herd is set up so that somebody's watching while she's grazing, and she's watching. And so she just goes back to grazing. And if you said to her about 15 minutes later, wow, that was some lion, wasn't it? He was really fast. She'd say, what lion? Because she has taken the information she needed from that experience, dropped it deep down the channel into her wisdom in the deep brain, and she has released everything else. So that's actually pretty handy, because what happens with our human brain is that because of our capability to hold on to things from the past and project into the future, it would be like if that mare was grazing and going to herself, God, I don't know why God made those damn lions. I mean, I just don't understand it. They are always after us. And, you know, they've gotten horses before, and they're going to do it again. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how I can even live here. I just don't. I'm so stressed. I don't know what to think about, because they kill us. You know, if they get a chance, they kill us. And, you know, if she had a human brain, she would go, you know, probably tomorrow I'm going to have to watch out too. And when I have a cold, oh my God, it's going to get worse. It's just going to be a mess. This is terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, that's kind of how we humans do it. Enormous stress. And that emotion and stress that comes up is meant to move us into action, but there's no action to take. There's no lion. There's nothing going on. And so one of the things that happens with us is that we kind of have a sticky channel in a way. Things drop back a ways, but instead of gleaning the information, wisdom, dropping it into our deep, letting it drop down the tube into that deeper place where our wisdom and our evolution, our survival, our thriving are, we tend to hang on to it there in the middle. So it harasses us. When things are there stuck in the middle, things we can't do anything about, but are still like, we are stressing ourselves enormously. And I want to say to you women that what we're finding out, and you probably know, is stress is the killer. And one of the things that's happening is that studies show that while in this busy modern world, men's stress has increased around 10%, 10-15%. Guess how much women's stress has increased? 100%. 100%. Now that's intense. We've picked up so much, we're doing so much, we're carrying so much, now we need to save the world. It's like we've picked up so much and we're stressed, and that's not okay. To find a way to drop out of that stress, to find ways to support ourselves that aren't that way of being. I mean, that's literally what I'm devoted to right now and teaching around the world, is all of the techniques and tools I can think of to help drop away from that kind of stress. Because we're seeing it in heart disease and in literally deaths from heart cancer, you name it. Women are adrenally challenged, most all of us, overwhelmed, tired. So we need to shift out of that. So let's take a little meditative journey again, if you will. So you can just let your eyes close and kind of drift along with me here. We want to change this perception of having to hang on to things and find a better way of functioning. So let's find out who you really are. So for a moment, I'd like you to drop deep, deep, and touch back again into that great mother womb. Find the sweetness and wholeness available there. It's like drifting back into a lush, velvety, quiet, nothing happening, restful. Great Mother, take me to that place deep within your dark womb where I need know and do nothing. And from there, I'll be reborn again. And so dropping into that no thing, not doing, the deep meditation of the dark moon menstrual lodges, a meditation you can do every morning. Get so you can drop, boom, drop into that richness, into that source place, into that beauty. That is who you are. You are made of that same energy, that same luminous darkness, that same richness, that same connection with everything. And find there light or love or joy. Maybe take a moment and think of a time. Was there ever a time when someone held you in their arms? Your mom, your grandmother, someone, and you just felt totally restful and safe as a child, or some other time when you could really feel quiet and restful, or just feel loving, like feel the love that is in you, that is your gift from the Great Mother, when you just felt loving towards someone, you just love them. Know that that belongs to you. That's who you are. It's like that sense of luminous moonlight. And in another way, we might think of it as dropping deep into the womb of the Great Mother Earth, who also has a womb with this kind of love and light. That molten, golden, warm, beautiful, rich sweetness held there, not needing to do anything, but to be open, to be filled by the truth of who you are, that you are one with the great source of life, that you are a woman whose womb replicates and brings forward into the physical world that magic of manifestation. And so think of that as your baseline of who you really are. That beauty, that's what's down there. That's what's in the darkness. It's not some yucky gunk of some kind, some harm, some negativity, some badness. That's who you are. That's the baseline. That's there. It's always been there. It always will be there. That's always who you are, your essence. And so just enjoy that for a moment. And then we might leave that we could call the lower world in a way, and move into the upper world, thinking of Father Light. It's a sunny day in springtime. We're just about to experience it now. The light is turned on, new ideas arise. Aha, that light bulb. The highest and best, standing up on a mountaintop with a view of beauty, being in the world with the light of knowledge and experience and knowing, the highest, most beautiful part of ourselves. The light awakening, enlivening us, knowing, the knowing we have in the outer world. The beauty of that, the glowing and radiant beauty of that. And then take some time to move between those, just gliding down, gliding down, down, down into that deep, dark richness, down into the womb of the Mother Earth, the womb of the Great Mother. The beauty there, the absolute source of everything, the source of who you are and who you are becoming. And back up again, out into the light of day, a beautiful blossoming day, flowering. Highest level of functioning, your higher self moving in the world. A radiant, radiant, beautiful energy. And that's you as well. So you are those and the channel between them. But then, we were talking about that sometimes in that channel when we're humans, things get sticky. There's the negativity and the murkiness and the muddiness and the stuff that doesn't work, the stresses, the old situations that weren't good, the future problems we think might come. things that drain our energy, that hold us back, preoccupation, stress, nothing there that can be made better or nothing done to solve it right there in that place. It's just in the kind of murky in between. But we have two kinds of big magic that we can move that with, that we can allow it to move. And so swirl some golden, molten love from that deep, deep place. Bring it up to release and transform. Burn away the things that hold you in thrall, hold you from moving, hold you from flowing, hold you from knowing. Let the goodness, the essence of all of that you are transforming and burning away, let the essence, goodness of it, if there is, there must be a teeny bit, drop down into your deep well of wisdom at the heart of darkness, gathering whatever is useful, beneficial, enlightening, helpful, and letting the rest blow up and out as you move up toward that beautiful light from above. And then you can bring that vortex of radiant, warm light from above. Clear away anything else that's left there in the kind of sticky, muddy in between where you've held on to it. Shine that light on it. Take a nice deep breath, make it easy and relaxed. Know that the Great Mother gave you the capacity to glean the richness from your experience. Why did she send you forward otherwise? And the Father light, intelligence, knowing, experience, awakening, they gave you these to help melt through whatever darkness might come your way. There is a deeper intelligence in you, a higher light that are who you are, a divinely sovereign, eternal soul, a divinely sovereign, eternal soul, made up of love and light. And I have just a couple more things to say, and as you let yourself come out of that meditative place, I'll go ahead and share these. What we know is that the arising feminine that's happening in the world right now, in this very moment, growing stronger and stronger, that arising feminine is pushing up that gunk. It's pushing up the gunk and the muck and the pus and the negativity and the anger and the meanness and the hatred. So yeah, it's all of it very obvious to us right now. It's very much up for us. And we're being asked to move it through with love and light, to move that and clear it and clear the way for this new time that we're in. That we can transform it. That we can burn what lacks in usefulness through our love, not our hate, not our anger, through our love. We can burn that up and transform it, anything that lacks usefulness, and then we get to capture the gold that remains. So our work is to go within and do work on ourselves. Definitely go right into that darkness. I think we've been avoiding it. Like, dive right in there. Know that you have the source of all things there as you dive down through and bring that richness back up into yourself and in the world. You know, we go within, into the darkness. and transform ourselves, do the work we need to do. And then, we have the capacity and the resource and the creativity, the inspiration to begin then to change the world around us, which is so much in need. We transform it with love and with light. So the new vision that we're calling for, that new vision lives in the loving heart of the Mother, in the radiant light of the Father. It has never been lost, never been lost. It's there for us to bring forth. Such beauty and such possibility and such richness and such glory, I believe we're moving toward. We're going to bring it from that luminous darkness, which is really the essence of all life. And so in conclusion, I'm going to finish with a prayer. Great luminous darkness, great Mother, womb and nest and source and velvety richness, we are so thankful to know you and remember you and to use you to nourish ourselves, to receive the gifts that you so richly give us. So we want to go again and again into your womb and into your richness and into your beauty. And as well, that radiant light and aliveness and awareness and wakefulness and joy that is the light of the Father, we give thanks for that. We are so blessed to be these eternal souls that darkness cannot harm, that darkness uplifts and upholds. Help us have, through this understanding, the courage to walk forward, to step out, to step up, to be absolutely who we are, to say what we have to say, and to call on the highest and best. So I'm asking a very special blessing for all of these women who are hearing this. May this be useful to you, beneficial to you, and useful to all our relations through you. Ho, Mitakuyasin, all my relations.